friends, it's me, Walida Cherie, and today I want to talk to you guys about a book that I did a review on, and I want to share it with you all today. So let's get right into it. The name of the book is The Richest Man in Babylon. So I want to talk about the characters first. So there's essentially three main characters, but there's two in particular who you'll hear me say their names most. The first one is Ben-Seer, and Ben-Seer is a chariot builder for Babylon. He's the one that helps the king to be able to ride with grace with his horses and chariot. He has a friend named Kobe. Kobe is a musician, and he's good with playing, they call it the lyre, which is equivalent to a harp. He is Ben-Seer's best friend. And then they have another friend who I'll expose what his name is in a minute. So one day, Ben-Seer is working, and he becomes frustrated because he's noticing that no matter how much he works, he's not getting ahead. And it really bothers him that he's hardly able to feed his family, and he's literally slaving to earn the money. And he runs to his friend Kobe. Well, Kobe asks Ben-Seer if he can essentially borrow 2 shekels of silver. And Ben-Seer is like, no, I can't allow you to do that because that's my entire life savings. If I give you that money, not only could we lose our friendship, but I would lose my entire life savings, and I have a family to take care of, so I'm not able to do it. So Kobe, he understands, and so together they are having this conversation about like, how does one become rich? And Ben-Seer is like thinking about all the people they went to school with and what does their life all look like. And essentially everybody are workers. Everybody's going to clock in and they are working for the king. No one in this situation has become rich except for one. And Ben-Seer remembers the guy's name. His name is Arkit. And Arkit is the richest man in Babylon. And so Ben-Seer, instead of going to Arkit asking him for money, Ben-Seer sees value in understanding how Arkit was able to obtain his money. So he's on his pursuit now to go find Arkit. And he and Kobe and a few other friends are joining him on his mission. So they find Arkit and they say, hey, you went to school with us. But when you were in school, you weren't book smart, you weren't a good athlete. How did you become wealthier than all of us? And Arkit sits down and he says, hey, here's my story. So he talks about how he was a scribe. He was basically the person who inscripted the tablets with laws and information that needed to get passed around. He was a scribe, and his boss, Algamish, was a moneylender. And Algamish gave him an assignment to have these tablets done by a certain date. Well, when he came to pick them up, Arkit hadn't had them done. So Arkit, because he's smart and he has a solution, he says, hey, I can get you these tablets by the next day if you, in return, give me all of your wisdom as to how you made money. Because as a moneylender, of course, he's going to be pretty rich. Algamish, in his mind, must have laughed because he's like, you could not get what I needed done before today, so why would I assume that it's going to get done tomorrow? But sure, if you want to make a bargain like that, I'll keep it up. I'll keep my end of the bargain. So Algamish, he goes a separate way. Arkit goes into the back room and he is inscribing these tablets. Now the thing is, Arkit is exhausted because I can imagine, I can imagine actually having to carve stone, how difficult that must have been. So he is sitting there and he's inscripting whatever Algamish's boss gave him to write on there, and he's having back problems, his eyes are exhausted, he's probably hungry because he hadn't had an opportunity to sit down to get food. So he's just all kind of just like out of it. But he is determined to learn how to become wealthy, so he completes the task. So the next day, Algamish comes and he says, hey, did you get the job done? And Arkit says, yes, I have it done. So before I give you these tablets though, let's talk about our negotiation we had the day before. And Algamish agrees. You know, he wants to be a man of his words. And he says, hey son, sit down. I want to tell you how I became rich. And so this is where it all began. Arkit sits down, he listens, he takes notes, and he applies it. So fast forward, these friends are hearing this story. Well, they aren't the only ones who know about Arkit, because now the king is sitting in his palace and he's having these questions in his head. He wants to know, how can he fix his kingdom? Because when he was having his palace built, when he needed all these chariots built, when he was essentially building his city, it was booming. Everybody had a job, everybody was able to get paid. But now that the city is complete, now that they don't really need more chariots, now that everybody who had a job no longer has a job because they're not in demand, the king is concerned because there's no money flowing in the economy. And as I did my last book review, I told you that you need to have money moving. It's a symbol of exchange. If money is not circulating, it causes issues in the economy. And he sees this. So he says, hey, who is the richest man in Babylon? And someone says his name is Archit. And he goes, well, I need to know how did he gain this information to become the richest man in Babylon? And how can he teach it to my people? Because I need to close the gap. The gap between the rich and the poor is starting to get wider and wider, and I can't have that as a king. Now, what I don't want to do, though, is those select few people who are rich. I don't think it's fair that they work their way to become rich and they give their money to the poor. That's selfish, and it defeated the purpose of them working really, really hard and people not understanding how money works and they get rewarded. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to create money. Because if we just give people money, they'll have it, but once they spend it, it's done, and we're back to square one. We need to teach them how to take care of their personal finances, because if we can do that, this is how we shape our economy. So what he does is he calls in Archit. He says, hey, I have an assignment for you. I need you to go to my people in my kingdom and teach them what you know about becoming rich. And Archit is like, hey, I have another solution. I can fix that. There's a problem, I have a solution. So as you can see right now, it is essential to have a solution to a problem. And Archit has just that. So now the king says, so would you be willing to give my people the information that you have? And basically, I'll give you some money for doing so. So he becomes this great teacher. He goes out and he says, hey, there are seven principles that I need you guys to completely understand. Because when you understand these 7 principles, then you will become rich. But if you do not comprehend it, if you don't think it's real, you will find yourself in the same exact circle that you've been going in, which is not having enough money. So he calls people in from the kingdom, and Archit becomes their teacher, and he begins his teachings. And these things that I'm going to teach you are his 7 teachings. So the first thing is start thy purse to fattening. What this means is take out 10% from whatever you make. It doesn't matter. Whatever you make, you must automatically take out 10% and push it to the side. Do not touch this money. This is essentially your rainy day, aka your emergency fund for the future. Do not touch this money. You can live off the 90%, but do not take away from the 10% under any circumstances, no matter how much money you make. The second principle is control thy expenditures. And one of the guys in the class says, but I want to live my life. I want to travel. I want to eat good foods. I want to wear some really fine garments. And Archit says that's fine, but you need to know exactly where your money is going to make sure you don't live outside of your means. Because if you're bringing in, let's say $1,000, but your expenditures exceed $1,000, that is how you go into debt, and that is how you cause the economy to basically lose control if multiple people are doing the exact same thing you're doing. So if all of us can live within our means, then we are able to have a better economy. The third thing is make thy gold multiply. And the way to do that is to put it in good, active, passive investments, or become a business owner with systems. And he doesn't say that in the book, but he does talk about investments and making your money compound. So the savings, the 10% is addition. You're just adding to it. What he wants you to do with this is multiply it. Whatever you have, whatever you're able to invest, you need to multiply whatever money you're putting in. So if you put in 1 coin, you should be able to multiply and get 10 to get 100, etc., etc. The fourth thing is guide thy treasures from loss. This means don't be a gambler. Don't just jump on stuff you don't understand. If you do decide to make an investment, know the pros and the cons. Make sure you are educated, or you are taking advice from somebody who's educated on how to do so. The fifth thing is make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. And what that means is get you a home and own it. But in the year of 2020, we have a more difficult, I guess you could say, time being able to do so than they did in the past. Especially as of yesterday, when the Fed has just announced that you need to put 20% down on the home, in addition to having over a 700 credit score. So as you can see, it'll become more difficult in the future to own a home. The sixth thing is ensure a future income. And essentially this is making sure you have a retirement fund for when you're old and cannot work. And when you die, making sure that your loved ones are going to be protected financially by having life insurance. And then the last thing is increase the ability to earn. And the way you increase your ability to earn is you gain a skill. And he calls it wisdom. Wisdom is a skill. It's translated as skill. So you need to find what your purpose is. What are you really good at? And you need to become very skilled in that area. Don't try to be the jack of all trades. Try to be the master of one. Once you can do that, then you can monopolize on that. For some of you right now, it may be making face masks. Okay, I don't know how to make a face mask. But if you know how to make it, that is an opportunity. If that's a skill you have, you are really good at it, you need to monopolize on it because it's a need of people, it's a solution to people's problem. So, my friends, that is all I have. So, until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.